Okay, our guest of honor is right here. I want everybody to give her a standing ovation as soon as she enters the hall. Students sitting behind, please. I want everybody to give a standing ovation when she comes inside the hall. Ladies and gentlemen and students, please welcome the gorgeous, the beautiful Twinkle Khanna. A huge round of applause for the multifaceted personality with us here. We are beyond thrilled to have a multifaceted personality with us here today. An actor, a writer, a celebrity interior designer, and a mentor. Please put your hands again together for none other than the gorgeous Twinkle Khanna. Twinkle Khanna is a celebrated interior designer who has led numerous stunning projects that beautifully merge aesthetics with functionality. Her role as a mentor for NIFD global students showcased her dedication to nurturing the next generation of design talent, sharing her innovative ideas and expertise. In addition to her design accomplishments, Twinkle is a best-selling author and entrepreneur known for her sharp wit and insightful storytelling. Her books, including Mrs. Funny Bones, The legend of Lakshmi Prasad and Pajamas Are Forgiving have captivated the readers worldwide and earned her critical acclaim. Beyond her literary success, Twinkle is a passionate advocate for women's empowerment and social issues, using her platform to inspire change. Her journey from the silver screen to becoming a literary and design powerhouse is a testament to her creativity and resilience. It suits her so right that a diva doesn't follow trends, she sets them. So I welcome you once again on behalf of all the students and all the people present here. Your presence adds a special spark today, and we are honored to celebrate this occasion alongside such an inspiring, talented persona. I request Mrs. Sadhana Todi, chairperson of NIFD Global Indore, to kindly felicitate Twinkle. Ma'am, first you'll felicitate and then you'll speak. Yeah. I request Sadhana Tori ma'am to kindly say a few words.
Hello everyone. We feel immense pleasure to have the Chief Mentor of Interior Design NIFD Global, Twinkle Khanna, with us here today. The beautiful face that we have always seen on the screen is here in person with her poise and elegance. It is such a wonderful opportunity for the students to hear straight from her about her journey and her professional insights. Another accomplishment to her talented persona is she's that accomplished author with lots of books to her credit. I welcome you once again on behalf of the whole team of NIFD Global Indore. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. So without further delay, we'll immediately start with the talk show for which the audience is desperately waiting for to hear from such a beautiful face. So hello, Twinkle ma'am, once again. Without wasting any time, the first thing I would want to ask you is that whenever a student or any professional interior designer goes into the field and they get their project as their first project maybe, the first thing that comes to their mind is the concept behind the whole design, that how should they go with the conceptualization of the project. What can you tell them about how do you choose a concept for any particular project?
First, I'd like to thank all the students for coming here and sort of making my day. It's so nice to see people who are excited about design all gathering together. So thank you for being here. I think the first thing when you are designing is like any other profession. It's not something that you're doing for yourself. It is an amalgamation of what your client wants to achieve and what you think is suitable for that project and what suits your sense of aesthetics and functionality. So you first have to look at and try and see a very clear picture of what the client has in mind. I've had clients who have a house in a flat in Lokhandwala, but they wanted to look like a Venetian palace.
Yeah, sure.
So there's a dissonance right there, and you have to make sure that you somehow convey the fact that the design has to suit the environment, the size, the place, the location. So that, I think, is probably the first thing. But when you're starting out, and this is very practical advice, do not try and impose your own views in the beginning because no one will listen to you. Just do what the client says, do it to the best of your ability, build up a great portfolio, and then you can sort of assert your own will. That is the most sensible advice I can give you.
Yeah, because I think when you please one client, you get many more. So that should be the key to design. Yeah. So ma'am, I mean, during the process of designing, people generally form a style statement for themselves that normally you try and identify, you can easily identify that this is a style statement for a particular designer. Do you have a particular style statement that one can identify, or it varies according to the clients and the people coming?
I think your inherent style state cannot change. You change it according to client briefs, but I like very, very straight lines. I don't like anything which is sort of convoluted. My lines are very straight, they're very modern, and then I like to layer it with a lot of different influences. I use a lot of Indian influences in my work. I use a lot of brass, a lot of mother of pearl inlay, a lot of but I still want to do it in a very modern, global way, and I think that is pretty much my style.
Okay. Now, basically, when we are being mentors since so many years now, and we see the generations keep on changing, what change we find is that students are not very keen on knowing the market, knowing the materials, knowing what's coming up in the trends. But they do have this social media, they do have this Instagram, the whole Google to browse on. So what do you think, this Google platform is a boon for them, or it's just a use which they are not using properly? They have stopped going to the markets, they have stopped going outside to explore the materials. They just sit on the Google and browse. So what do you think, this is a boon for them, or this is just a drawback?
No, technology is like a knife. You can use it, as a scalpel and do an operation and save someone. You can stab someone with it. You can cut vegetables with it.
True.
So I think that they are extremely blessed that they can see every design style literally in 5 minutes. You go on Pinterest, you punch in a few keywords, whatever it is. Let's say it's, you want to have an eclectic sort of Georgian design, and you just punch that in and you'll have a whole Kohler will have a sort of material book. You can go and have a look. Asian paints, you go and get their, carve. You go and look at textures, samples, wood. You should know the difference between what and, sort of different categories of wood can do.
Yeah.
And you need to go and touch that physically, because design is also, it's not just a visual medium, it's also tactile. So it's very, very important to have both these approaches towards design.
Yeah, so how do you keep up with the latest trends? Do you even use the same platforms that the students are using, or you have some other sources of information, or the material comes to you and what?
No, definitely people will send material to me, even if I don't ask them.
True.
But I'll still keep getting, samples of different material. We go to a lot of fairs. We talk to a lot of different people who are at the cutting edge of technology. So I think the most important thing is to spend time with vendors. Like, I may just sit at Bogilal and say, okay, show me what's new. Show me what is new in bathroom fittings. Show me some tiles. Show me different materials.
Okay.
Because I know that he's keeping track of the latest trends, and so I can work backwards. So that is one way of doing it. Talk to all your vendors, keep asking for new things, keep asking for literature. I mean, I didn't even there was a new soundboard, I think it's B&O, and you can mount it on the wall, or you can also place it horizontally. And for the longest time I kept arguing that, but the sound will kind of bounce in a different way, because if it's going up versus here. But the technology is such that with an app you can program it, that you get the same quality even if the waves are going upwards. So it's very important for you to know what's happening and talk to vendors, I think.
Because before you try to implement that material, you have to have that hand information about it.
Can we do something about the mic? It's just echoing and echoing. So can we do something?
Yeah.
It's
Is everybody
difficult
able
for
to
me
hear
to even
at the back?
understand what she's
Because
saying, so how will they understand?
It's
fine?
audible because we can hear it quite loud and quite echoing. Yeah. So it's clear behind? Okay. So the next question is that you have designed a lot of houses for the celebrities. You've designed for Rani Mukherjee, Kareena Kapoor. Any project that you think was a challenge for you, or some memories connected to that particular project that, still you remember, you want to share with us?
In fact, I bumped into one of my earlier clients who had a house the size of a matchbox and wanted the works. And I felt that that was very, very challenging, because when you have a small space and you have to maximize usage, It's fascinating, but I really like that. It was almost like you're breaking open a jigsaw puzzle and putting it back together. I love space plan. So I think all the projects that require me to really cut and slice space sort of are my best plans and my best projects.
So what is the smallest square feet area project that you must have done which was challenging for you?
I think it was 560 feet, the whole place.
So that was really a matchbox for you. Yeah. So that's what students normally face challenge when they go out into the market, that they're expecting something bigger in size and they get really small spaces. So my next question is the same, that how to handle those small cramped spaces, because nowadays having a bigger space is a boon, blessing, but we don't normally have that. So how do you handle smaller spaces? How do you use those nicks and knacks and corners, and how do you deal with them?
I think what's very important is you use each space as a multi-usage space, and each piece of furniture also has to have multiple uses. So you have to be very clear that you should be able to convert everything. You can't just have one coffee table. Coffee table will have to have stools that pull out, or it'll have to have storage. Your beds will have to have storage. It could be a Murphy bed. Your desk has to double up. So it's maximizing usage of each piece there. And of course, the space planning makes a massive difference so you don't waste anything on corridors. You have more open living, so it looks larger, and you use that space instead of giving it, and sort of wasting it away in corridors and sort of entryways.
And I think even the choice of colors that you choose inside for the spaces matters.
That's at a later stage, but of course, there also you have to use tricks. If the ceiling is lower, you'll make sure that you paint it slightly brighter than the walls. As you know, you'll use lots of mirror, you'll try and maximize the natural light there, you'll use very light colors, or you could go completely opposite and make it into this absolute decadent jewel-like space, where wherever your eye falls, it's so beautiful that it doesn't matter how small it is. So you have two different approaches to a small space.
Towards a small space, yeah, true. Normally, students try to overdo the design, because when that word design comes in, they think pouring in onto that one space is the thing that is needed. So how do you stop that overdoing, or what are the do's and don'ts that one should know before they are handling any project or any design for that matter as a student? That they don't do this, or they should try to remember this, something like that.
I think that when you're starting out, especially when you're working with color, you shouldn't try and use more than 3 colors in a space. That you need experience to do a design where you have a multiple, color scheme, because you can really go wrong in that way. The simpler your basic pieces are, the simpler your design is, the less chances of sort of messing up. So. That, I think, would be something. And also, there's no shame in asking for help. Ask your friends, ask people around you, what is the best way of doing this, and try and find a way. I would say that everyone who goes into the design field should work for a little while as a site supervisor, because that's when you really get, in-depth knowledge of how to handle a space. You're dealing with workers, you're dealing with whatever can go wrong on a space on a one-to-one basis. That, I think, is vitally important.
I mean, seeing the space physically, that gives you idea of that space more, rather than working on the drawings.
Yeah. But working as a site supervisor would be the number one step.
Okay, yeah. Everything what an interior designer, or any designer for that matter, is doing is finally for the customer satisfaction or the client satisfaction. So now when the client first comes to you, how do you analyze him? How do you question him, or how do you try to know what he really wants, and then you are able to, serve him what he really looks upon to you for?
I mean, you just first talk to them. The most basic thing is, what are your needs? What are your needs as a family? What are your, what is the sort of life you lead? Depending upon that, if you are sort of an introvert person and you spend a lot of time at home, I'll give you a larger space for your bedroom. I'll give you a little less for your living room. That's not as important. We'll cut away spaces. So what does the client want, and how do they live? That's number one. The second thing is, you go and see the space, because even on a plan, if you know that it's north facing or west facing, you don't really know whether the light is getting blocked because there's another building in front. So you have to physically go and kind of at least see the space and then plan to see, where will I get the most light? So where should I put the spaces that are going to be used the most. So physically going there and seeing it. And then once you talk to the client, you have to make a mood board, because what they say and what they actually have in their head may not be the same thing. So you have to see that you're on the same page. And then usually you have to convince them that 80% of their ideas are absolutely incorrect. And that's the tough part.
That is the toughest part. And you also make boards for your client. You are paired with those boards so that they get an idea of what is in your mind. That is the only thing that our students run away from. Making that first piece of board is something that really doesn't hit them. But I think that is the most important part when you do it.
No, it's very important. The design will change. It will not ever kind of stay at that level that you did the mood board in, but it gives you an idea of the direction you're going in, and it tells your client what you have in mind. And I think, and then it kind of keeps building on that, because you yourself will evolve along that design. You layer it, so it'll keep
there'll
changing.
be multiple changes as you move on with the project. Yeah, that's true. How do you handle client satisfaction and expectation is what we've learned. But there is something that how do you manage and coordinate with the whole team of people working on one project? Because it becomes really very difficult when there are vendors, where there are carpenters, where there are contractors, and especially the stakeholders. So how do you connect with them? How often do you meet them? How do you handle the project?
So I have to say that in the beginning when I started out, and this is, I would say, over 20 years ago, the world was also slightly different. And so if you were working with contractors, you had to sort of be almost aggressive with them, because they were used to that sort of behavior. You had to go on site and almost, they understood the language of you kind of being slightly abusive. Otherwise, they would not respect you and take you for granted.
They would take you granted, yeah.
And so I think I had to do a little bit of that in the beginning. Now times have changed, and so I'm too old to go around screaming at people, but yeah, it required a lot of, yelling, because contractors, largely don't seem to have a sense of responsibility or pride in their work. It's just, let me do this as quickly as I can and get out. Or let me drag this as long as I can so I get paid more. But it's not about let me do the work to the best of my ability. Now, in doing that, again, you have to have a site supervisor, you have your assistants going there for, check-ins, and you have to actually go, every, let's say, I won't go every week now, but I definitely go every couple of weeks to see what's happening and get weekly updates. A lot of people use Trello, as to kind of coordinate things. We are still sticking to old-fashioned Excel sheets, techniques. But that's how you do it.
Okay. What are the common mistakes that normally you have seen in maybe some other projects that you would want the students not to do? Any mistakes? I mean, normally people say design cannot be wrong. It can be good or bad. But there are a few steps that can just go wrong somewhere, maybe in the material selection, maybe in the planning or in the space planning. So what are those things that one should not do?
I think any mistake you make at a design level is still salvageable, but you cannot make a mistake at technical levels. And those are very, very severe mistakes to make. What I see very often would be, it could be something as silly as somebody says, I want dimmable tube lights and the driver's making a lot of noise. It could be that the client has decided that I don't want plain glass for these sliding shutters, but I want fluted glass. So the weight has changed and now the section can't take it anymore, but you didn't kind of incorporate that. And already the section is bending and it's, that it's going to warp very soon. So these are the sort of silly mistakes that I see happening often enough.
So your drawings have to be coordinated and corrected enough, or they have to be detailed enough, or your mind has to work properly on this side? What is more important?
No, your drawings have to be completely detailed. That's number one. Without a detailed drawing, it doesn't matter what your mind is working on. Detailed drawings, you sign off on the drawings, you make sure the drawings are executed, correctly, and that is the only way.
Can you share any insights on the business side of interior design, such as marketing and client acquisition? Because when the student passes out from the college, the first challenge that he would come across is getting a client, and then to be able to convince him and to be able to get more clients from the work done. So what do you say about the client acquisition? How do people pitch for the right client?
I don't think that the first thing a student has to do is go out there and get a client. I think the first thing they have to do is get an internship and then prove themselves in that internship where they rise higher and higher, and the senior architect starts trusting you with executing jobs, and you go up, and then you start getting your clients. So the first thing is to be certain that you're very good at your job, and you really work your ass off at that point of time, and then you climb up, and then you get clients. If you got a client when you've just passed out, then your first project, I'm sorry, will be a disaster because you do not have enough experience. This is a job that needs a lot of experience because there are so many moving parts that something is bound to fail.
Because I have read somewhere that you started working with an architect making AutoCAD drawings, and that is how I think you came into this field of design. But students nowadays, they are so much into a hurry of taking up projects rather than working under someone. So I think they work for hardly 6 months, and then they have that confidence of handling a project on their own. So how far is that confidence good for them? I mean,
it's great to have confidence. I mean, if you have confidence, you can convince the client of multiple things, but you can't convince a site to behave efficiently. For that, you do have to have experience. So you need a sort of combination of both these things. I did not start, I learned how to draft because I don't draft anymore, but if I didn't know AutoCAD, I wouldn't be able to read drawings properly. And I think for me, that was more important. My CAD skills are very rusty now, but I also learned Photoshop so that I could help in presenting these drawings. I should at least know the basic layout of all of these things so that even if I'm telling my junior, the junior has to respect me. So it's important to kind of know those skills. And again, I would keep saying that experience is everything in this business.
okay. You have done masters in fiction writing. Just recently, you finished it, and you got awarded for the best dissertation. So, how was your experience being a student again after so many years? And I think you've set an example that there is no age to learning. So, how was your experience as a student again?
I envy all these people sitting here. They don't know what they have in their hands right now. This is the most exciting time of your life, and you keep complaining about, I used to do the same, this work, and there's so much homework, and I have to study so much. But the opportunity and the freedom you have right now will never come. So I would just say enjoy it. I enjoyed being a student again. I felt that I'm living a parallel life to the one I had at, I was 49 when I started my master's, and at this age to live one more life within this limited lifespan was a great blessing. I love studying. I feel that there is no end to it. Even I'm doing an online philosophy course. I'm not going to get a degree, but I'm curious, so I want to know more. And I think one way of sort of living along this path that we've chosen and why we're here is to be curious. If you're curious, your biological age keeps increasing, but your mind stays fresh and young. And I'm as excited today about, looking at design, looking at books, looking at everything around me as I was 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. So how was your journey from transition to transition? How did you manage that transition from being an actor, such a wonderful actor on screen, and then becoming a producer, then a writer? And how did you face that transition, and how do you feel about it?
I went to a talk at my son's, he was passing out, and the person coming to give a talk said that this is the time we live in where earlier generations would have one job or you would have two jobs. But all the young people passing out now should be prepared that they will have at least 6 jobs, different jobs in their lifetime. And some of these jobs have not even been invented yet. We don't even know what the future is going to bring.
True.
So what do you have that will take you from these multiple professions? You have to have a sort of intellectual adaptability. And you use that same skill set wherever you go.
Yeah.
And again, you have to have a deep desire to learn. If you have these two, then you can, well, not always succeed, but at least you can get somewhere in different professions. I think I use the same work ethic that I have in multiple professions. And again, there are similarities. I'm very fascinated by structure in stories. I'm very fascinated by structure in design and space. And there is a commonality which exists, even though it's very, very nebulous, I would say.
But I think that is inherent inside you, so it comes out in the various areas that you work. Yeah. Today, Twinkle, we have a bunch of freshers who are going to begin their design journey at NIFD Global Indore. So any words, inspiring message for them so that, they take these 4 years of their college life much more better way than they had already planned. So any wonderful words for
I
them?
don't know if, I'm the right person to say this, but I think that you're on an exciting, exciting journey. You should relish each day. This is the best time of your life. People will keep telling you, you won't believe them, but we are looking at it from the other side. Make the most of this opportunity and learn, no matter what they're teaching you here, spend at least, I would say, 1 hour a day looking at design globally, looking at everything else that there is out there, and use it in your work today so that when your teachers give you feedback, it's not just on what they've taught you, but everything else you've learned. So you don't just improve, marginally, but you do it exponentially. That's all I can say.
Do you have when you do a project, does your personal taste come anywhere into the design? Does it try to overpower the client's need and expectations, or is it always a balance between both?
There is no situation in which your own personality can stay away. And if they're coming to me knowing that this is the design statement that I'll make. Your taste is inherent in everything, what you wear, how you speak, what you do. Design is everywhere. It's not just in one particular, it's even the way you do your flowers in your house. And so I would say don't hold back from your design statements as students, but definitely hone them. And the only way to hone that is to have exposure. Go to every design show that you can. Go to, every convention you can. Look at it online as well. And sort of develop this sense of aesthetics.
Okay. I think many of you must be having some questions for Twinkle, obviously, to ask. So anyone from the audience, the student, anyone, if you want to ask a question, can you just take the mic there, please?
Hello. Hello, ma'am. My name is Shishir Khandelwal, and my question is, how do you tailor your designs to meet the unique needs of different clients?
I could not hear your question.
How do you tailor your designs to meet the unique needs of different clients?
Okay, how do you tailor your designs as per the client needs?
Like I've already said, you have to see the vision that is in their mind. You have to see their requirements, and sometimes you have to succumb to it. I had this absolutely fabulous, I think 7,000 square feet apartment in Worli that I was doing, but they wanted a grinder in their kitchen sink because they kept spitting pan everywhere. So now what should I tell them? Don't have pan? Or should I just put the grinder? You put the grinder because that's your job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else? Yeah, that side.
Hello ma'am, I am Akshat Raghuvanshi. So my question is, can you share some tips regarding proper utilization in small spaces?
We had a whole conversation about that. Were you sleeping?
No ma'am.
You can't sleep in class or here.
No, I have listened about the Matchbox projects, but can you share some more tips like in commercial spaces?
No, so space planning is the same. Like I said, you can't waste when you have a small space, you have to minimize corridors, you have to minimize entryways, you have to use light colors, you have to use mirrors, you have to design furniture also which is slightly smaller in scale so the space looks larger. So there are tricks like that, but you have to also see each space specifically then to give a solution. There aren't more generic solutions than that.
Okay.
Yeah, anyone else from the crowd? Yeah, that side.
Hello ma'am, my name is Rishabh Dubey. My question is, what inspired your transition from acting and writing into interior designing?
So before all these other jobs, my first job was delivering fish for my grandmother's sister's company. My second job was, no, it was, and my second job was I was an assistant to an interior designer called Harsha. And that was my summer job. I would go everywhere with him. I was paid only in ice creams and chocolates and things like that, but I was asked many important questions, and that set the tone for me. I remember still he took me to an apartment in Juhu, and we were in a kitchen, and he looked at the cabinets and he said, "Tell me what's wrong with it." And I could not tell him what was wrong with it because I didn't have that much experience. But it set that in my head, this sort of functionality, aesthetics, design. And eventually, many, many years later, I came back to the same profession. So I would say this was probably one of my first professions.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. So I have this question on this vendor management. So as a fresher, we are going to meet lots of vendors in the market. But how to choose that this is a perfect vendor who can provide the things according to the trend and according to your needs? So how to evaluate, how to segregate the vendor according to you?
So I don't think you have to rely on a vendor for the trend. That has to come from you. But every vendor has experience, has a reputation, and you have to go by the reputation and see, talk to other people, see how people talk about this person, whether he delivers on time, whether the products are of good quality. The trend side has to come from you. But these other factors you have to verify. Again, you'll have a network of people, you'll have other friends in the design business, and you have to keep checking with them.
Yes.
What resources or tools would you recommend for aspiring interior designers to enhance their design?
What resources?
Yeah, what resources or tools would you recommend for
What
interior?
resources would you recommend for the designers for getting their designs, right? This is what your question is.
Yes.
Okay.
For getting the design.
The designs, maybe from the internet, what we spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
What are the other resources?
I
or
think you have
information?
so many resources now. You've got Pinterest, you've got House, you've got design magazines. You don't even have to subscribe to them anymore. It's all there on your Instagram. Like I again said, you can go and get material libraries. That's another way of sort of getting inspiration. You travel, you keep noticing things. I remember when I was, again, starting out, and I was working with Hafiz at that point of time, we went to various places, hotel, lobby, restaurants, wherever we had to work. And he would keep telling me, look at the lighting design, notice the lighting design. And I probably spent, a lot of time looking like this at certain things. So you have to pay attention and you have to keep noticing things and observing things till it becomes second nature. Now I don't have to look up to see, whether you have cove lighting, whether you have direct lighting. I mean, there are multiple sorts of lighting here. But I don't have to keep staring, but that has to become your second nature. So I think observation as well as internet, whereas physically going and looking at things, these are all the resources that will help you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Something related to what she just asked is that they have so much information on Pinterest. They have so many images. If they put just one word, they get thousands of images. But again, what to pick, what to choose from that particular image that you really want is another tough challenge for them. We were blessed that we did not have this kind of a source, so we had our gut feeling involved in the design. But today, I think they are much more confused when they have so much of information already available. So how do they choose from what is exactly what they want?
I think you have to train your eye. And to train your eye, you have to look at the leaders in that field and see what they are doing. And in that way, you can kind of start formulating your style by looking at the leaders in the field. And this is for any profession. It's not just in design. This would work for you in anything.
Anything.
Just look at what the leaders are doing, formulate your own, and then carve out your own identity with that.
True. Anyone else? Yeah, please.
Hello, Twinkle. I would like to ask you two things. First is, what are the natural materials like Italian marble or wood that you use in your style of interior designing most, you use the most?
What is your favorite material that you normally use?
The natural material. And my second question is, what in your opinion is a timeless design, which transcends, it's not like it's in and it's good and then, 2 years later you feel it's out of fashion. So what in your opinion is a timeless design?
A timeless design.
I like using a lot of materials. I use a lot of wood. I use a lot of, like I said, brass. I use a lot of stone. For timeless design, strangely enough, you cannot look forward. You probably have to look behind. And you have to look at things which are culturally relevant. Your space, again, your plans, your spaces, your large pieces, all have to be very straight line. Because if you go by a trend, you'll get tired of it. So I would say that your basic outline, your structure has to be very straight line. Your influences have to come from various places, from the past, from art, from different eras, so that when you go forward, you're not stuck with some strange, sort of purple couch that you bought because purple was in fashion. It was the Pantone color of the year. You can buy a purple cushion, but you can't base your main design on trends. That has to have a timeless structure, and for that, I would look at the past.
Yeah. Anybody else?
So any question which is generally, so my question is, if you can design houses, is the same way can you design your life also?
Very, very complicated question.
Yeah, I think I do design my life like that. I keep the structure very simple, and then I add lots of flourishes around it. But I live very simply. I wake up, this morning, of course, I had to get up I think I got up by 5:30, but normally I get up at 6. I was just telling my partner the same thing, that when we go to these detox centers, what are they going to detox? We eat very healthy, we sleep early, we don't smoke, we don't drink. So when they detox us, they're taking out healthy things from our body instead of the bad things.
True. So true.
So yeah, I think a simple life, and then I have these little bits and pops of color. I'm here today, I'm enjoying this little bit, but this is not my real life. There'll be a day I'll be all dressed up in heels and walking around, and that's another splash, but my basic structure stays.
Anybody else wants to ask something? Yes. You have a lot of questions.
Fashion students, I can see that.
Because they weren't listening to what you were saying.
Good afternoon, ma'am. मैम मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था, सबके करियर में एक ऐसा पॉइंट आता है, वो अपने कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स में फेल ज़रूर होते हैं. हर करियर की तरह एक आता है, कुछ प्रोजेक्ट्स में फेल हो रहे हैं. उसके बाद वो कॉन्फिडेंस कहाँ से आए कि अगले प्रोजेक्ट में वो कॉन्फिडेंस लाना कि लास्ट में फेल हुए तो थे. और वो भी इस तरह के करियर में कि हम एक इंटीरियर डिज़ाइनर हैं, सामने वाले की लिविंग या वो वे ऑफ लिविंग हम पे डिपेंड कर रही है कि अगर हम किसी प्रोजेक्ट में फेल हुए तो नेक्स्ट प्रोजेक्ट के लिए वो कॉन्फिडेंस कहाँ से आएगा.
Okay, थोड़ा समझ आया. I'll just translate. He's wanting to ask that a lot of times, clear नहीं हो रहा. A lot of times students tend to fail in a lot of projects they take up. So again, there's a setback for them in life, and then how do you get that confidence to come back again or push yourself again back into the same field? How do you not get demotivated?
There is no life without failure. Nobody has ever reached anywhere without failing. You just don't see the failures of most successful people. But also, I don't know why we are we only look at success as a goal. We don't see what we are learning from the failures. It's about a mindset. If you look at a failure not as a pothole that you've fallen in, but a trampoline that you jump and you rise high, then it changes your mindset. The amount we learn from the times we fail is much more than what we learn when we succeed. So I would say that embrace those failures. It'll only help you get better.
Thank you, ma'am.
You have to be prepared for the rejections, basically. For the rejections. If you are prepared for the rejections, then you are not afraid of failures. Yeah. Anyone else wants to ask anything? Or are we done here with the questions? Okay, thank you so much. I think they are more than happy to hear from you. So we'll move ahead with the next section of the program. It was lovely talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We'll remove the table, or it's like that. So after this enlightening session by Twinkle Khanna herself, we'll move ahead to the next part, that is the felicitation to the achievers. The students who have achieved something in their academic profession, academic career, we would like to honor them by calling here. So first we'll start with the mentors, because without their guidance, I think nothing is possible. So I invite the team of mentors, firstly from Bhopal, NIFD Global Bhopal, to kindly come up on the stage for a photograph with Twinkle. So I invite Vijendra Singh Sikarwar, Tajwar Khan, Akanksha Singh, Rashmi Joshi and Sarika Dikshit. A huge round of applause for these faculties from Bhopal. Next, I'll request the team of fashion design mentors from NIFD Global Indore to kindly come up on the stage. Mrs. Sonika Bhagat, Nisha Goyal, Shweta Yadav, Shantanu Geete, Farooq and Ankit. Please come up on the stage. Next, I would like to call the team of interior design mentors from NIFD Global Indore. So I invite Pallavi Bess, Sanjot Patil, Shikha Khabia, Nidhi Korea, Sohad Bhatnagar, Tarana Sharma, and myself, Deepa. Now I officially meet you. I don't have a mobile. Now I invite the admin team of NIFD Global Indore. To begin with, I would like to call Pramod Lokhande sir, Neet Sureka, Harsha Mehta Mishra, Vaishali Kakade, Avina Patidar, Garima Soni, and Shivanshu Gautam. Shivanshu Gautam, please. Now we felicitate the students who have shown that with focus and dedication, there's nothing one can't achieve. So I'd like to call the achievers one by one on the stage. First of all, I'd like to invite Kinjal Ladha and Ayush Patel from NIFD Global Indore, who have been the winners of Lakme Fashion Week 2024. Next, I'd like to invite Chitrika Rathore and Amatullah Petiwala, NIFD Global Bhopal, winners of Lakme Fashion Week 2024. Stand on the other side, Vida. Yeah. Next, I call runners-up winners for the set design for Lakme Fashion Week of Interior Design students, Yuvika Tejwani from NIFD Global Bhopal. Now I call Sanskar Singhal, Manshreet Kaur, Avni Goyal and Bhumika Singhal. These are the national winners for the Society Interiors Design Competition 2024. So a huge round of applause to these winners. These are the national winners.
All the boys there can't help it, it's a habit. Clothes that she wears, short skirt and a jacket. I just want
Next, I call the zonal winners of the commercial category of the Society Interiors Competition 2024, Paridhi Bajaj, Pranjal Jain, Muskan Agrawal and Dhiya Chhajed. Now I call Sheetal Shukla and Shreya Vardhaman Jain, who gave their solo presentation at Dubai Fashion Week. Now I invite the student groups of Dubai Fashion Week who showcased their garments in September 2024. Khushbu Sharma, Sakshi Kaur Bhatia, Pooja Gupta, Arun Patidar, Trisha Ghai, Mehek Patidar and Khushbu Shekhawat. A photograph with you is also like a trophy to them. So. Next, I call Nidhi Sharma, Harshada Patel, Riddhi Jain, Simran Saini, Ishika Tharwani, Vidya Sonwane, Priyanshi Sharma, Vandana Tejwani, and Surbhi Jain, again for the group presentation at Dubai Fashion Week 2024. Next, I call Pratiksha Chhabra, Disha Bihani, Kanan Chawla, Astha Jain, Avni Jain, Yashika Jain, Anamika Maurya, Vaishali Singh, Kajal Khandelwal, and Nishita Leheria for a group presentation at Dubai Fashion Week.
Oh, sorry, just quickly, please.
Now I call Kritika Patidar, Tanishka Agrawal, Suhani San, Ashi Jain, Disha Daketia, Janvi Tharwani, Kashvi Jain, Ashmeet Kaur, Sanobar Praveen, Mohit Singhal. These are the students who showcase at New York Fashion Week, September 24.
Calling you up to get down, down. Show me a piece of your love. Calling you up to get down, down. Show me a piece of your heart, a piece of your love. I'm calling you up
Next
to
group,
get down.
Maki Beragi, Rathi, Ishita Raj, Khushi Pavlani, Riya Sanjay Sukhwani, Vanshika Vishal Jaiswal, Vidhi Pawar, Drashya Bhattar, Moksha Chalani, and Shreya Vardhaman Jain for a group presentation at New York Fashion Week, September 2024. And lastly, the time to honor the student who not only had an academic excellence but also was actively participating in all the events. She is humble and she is a very dedicated student of NIFD. So please put your hands together for the Student of the Year, Pratiksha Chhabra. Student of the Year, NIFD Global Indore 2024. Now I request the committee members to kindly come up on the stage for a photograph with Twinkle. Please, sir. Lastly, I request Mrs. Sadhna Todi, along with her friends Ritu Kedia and Shweta Agrawal, to kindly come up on the stage for a photograph. Can we just open the lights for the hall? Hotel management, kindly put on the lights of the hall.